All right. So now we have a first for talking the talk with Don here. So usually this is an interview podcast where I interview much cooler people than myself and the guy that's sitting here next to me. And but anyway, we decided to
Ouch.
I know, hey, you know what? I just decided to try something different and we're just going to talk because we have podcasts. That's what we do. And if you want to talk, get your own fucking podcast. So anyway, so my guest is one of my good buddies here, a fellow podcaster and someone that I bond with quite a bit on the Glacially Music podcast. We got
Musical.
Nik Glacially
It's right there.
Musical.
You can
Well,
read it.
well, yeah, but see the A and the L are like folded.
Oh,
So
it
I'm
is.
gonna
Okay,
have to.
that's fair.
So actually, if I said it, it would be T Glacially
It,
Music
it actually looks more like the glacially musial.
Musial. That's it. So the Glacially Musical Podcast.
Well, Stan the Man Musial, number six for the Cardinals. So
You just realized, wait, let me see, because I think I have it set up to where, okay, you know what, now we can do it. Okay, now it's like whoever's talking gets the camera. So, see, you guys are getting the pilot episode here. So, but anyway, without further ado, this is my buddy Nik Podcast Cameron from the Glacially Musical Pouredcast. Nik, how's it going, man? Happy
I am
Sunday, bro.
I am good. Thank you for having me. This is day three of a 3-day weekend. I have been drinking far too much, and I only have one beer, so we had to get started while I have beer because that's my brand. And I decided I'm not going to go buy any more today because you know what? Let's just not have any. Let's just
What?
not have any here.
Why would you do that? That's so unlike you. Are you
I
pregnant?
will. Uh, I was up the last two nights. I was up till like 12:30, which for me is like 4 in the morning for a young person.
Oh,
And
same. It's
at like
ridiculous.
11:30, I'm like, man, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go make chicken wings. So I like fried
Okay,
up chicken wings at like 11:30.
I saw that message. I thought that was like old information because I didn't look
No,
at the timestamp here. Like, so did you like shit yourself at 2 in the morning after that, or like did you hold up
no,
okay?
I made some funny smells in the bathroom this morning, but I don't know what that has to do with anything. But yeah, I got hungry, and I'm like, well, I got to drink something with this. Well, I guess I'll crack open another 19-ounce, 9% beer, because that's smart.
You know what? Adults are gonna adult, man. You know, that's how it
Nobody
is.
was home. I was by myself. I wasn't going anywhere.
See, these are the moments that we have to seize. You
I
know,
was listening to Avenue Q on vinyl. Everyone's a little bit racist
oh,
sometimes.
that's so beautiful. I love the
It
versatility
doesn't
of
mean we
you
go
listening.
around committing hate crimes.
Crimes. I know. When Lady L and I were in New York for the Gilmore show, we were considering going to see that. Tickets
I
were astronomical.
I've seen it once. I would love to see it again.
So we ended up going to see I think I told you guys this already. We went and saw uh how am I forgetting it? The Book of Mormon. And it was
Oh,
fucking
I have
incredible.
not seen that, and I would love to. It's got some jokes in it that lawyer wife is not going to want to hear.
I was super impressed because I probably Lady L and Lawyer Wife are going to be a lot in common. Like she does not always appreciate or get my sense of humor, but she puts up with it because I mean, look at me. I mean,
I have
it's the total package here.
I have learned how to tailor my humor to lawyer wife's appreciation.
Do you ever let it slip though? Because
No,
now
nope,
see,
nope.
I
Lawyer
think
wife and I on our first date, I was drunk. I was late at the end of the night, and I said, "Shut up," jokingly, and she put her finger up
uh
in my face and said, "No,
uh-huh.
you do
No.
not say shut up to me. Only judges get to say that to me. There is a number of how many times you say this, and we are done."
Yeah, I that
Said
I've
it
been
one
smart
more
enough.
time, and I immediately apologized profusely. And she
Did you
told,
like throw yourself into the ground in fetal position and cover your face?
yeah, basically. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, my sense of humor is completely dedicated to you and Keith, my best friend James, and my friend Bert in North Carolina. And with her, she gets like The Dawn humor dialed down extremely, but she knows it's there, but she just does not want to see it or hear it. So as long as
Yeah,
I keep them separated, we're
I
pretty
will
good.
not
You know?
say on record who gets my unfiltered humor, but if I told you his profession, you'd be extraordinarily surprised.
I had no idea you were friends with Elon Musk. I had no
Wow.
idea.
Wow, that is no. I don't drive a swastika car.
You don't drive a swastika car.
I have a Nissan Leaf. I support the Empire. All glory to Akihito.
I have a Toyota RAV4 hybrid. So,
Toyota.
Toyota. Hey, longest
I've only
lasting cars I've ever had.
you've never had a Honda. I've had two
No, I
Toyotas.
never have had a Honda.
I had a
No.
Prius and a Celica. The Honda Civics are the longest lasting cars on the planet.
My, let's see, my dad had a 1986 Toyota Corolla, bought it in 86. I drove
That's
it.
different. You can't
Yeah.
count that. The
I,
80 in the 80s, that was before planned obsolescence became a thing.
oh my God. Seriously, my dad drove that car from 86 to 92. I started driving it in 92 to like 94. My brother drove it from 94 to 97. And the only reason it stopped working was because he got rear-ended and the car went under his car and like smashed, like the gas tank came out, like
When we got
basically
rid
they
of
were like, we can't even find that part anymore, buddy. You're like, so sorry,
when
you
we
know.
got rid of
So,
Lawyer Wife's Civic for my Civic, she passed it down to me when she got a Toyota RAV4,
oh,
which died 80,000 miles after we bought it, I might add.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, started parting out at 150.
Jesus
The only
Christ.
reason we had to get rid of it, not because it wouldn't drive, but because we would have to completely rebuild the engine to get it to pass inspection.
Yeah.
It was
Luckily, this was
fine.
all, yeah.
It was fine, but there was uh the water pump blew up and
Look,
it dented the cylinders. And because of that, the check engine light was permanently on, and the check engine light being on is an automatic fail in Missouri.
worst car I ever fucking owned was a Volkswagen.
I've never had a bad car. All my cars have been good. The scariest car I owned was a Suzuki Samurai. I did feel it start to tip over once.
Oh no, man. That we had a Volkswagen Passat station wagon and we got it used. Everything that could possibly go wrong with a Volkswagen went wrong with that car.
Yeah, that sounds like my wife's RAV4.
It was seriously, I don't what was the deal with the RAV4? We had a RAV4 for years. It was great. We
It
traded
just
it
it
in,
just it just started going out, and
you know.
thankfully, a lady on her cell phone totaled it for us.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. But that's how you got rid of it. That's
That's
how
how
you
we
get
got
rid
rid of
of
it.
it. That's
Yeah.
how you get rid of it. So,
And then we kept the money that because it was paid off, so we got almost nothing for it because it was a RAV4 that was beat to hell.
mhm.
And then she then bought her Acura, which was the biggest fucking hoopty. But she loved it. It had heated seats. It just, oh my God, I'm so glad she doesn't have that. And then she switched to Honda CRV, and I think she's on Honda CRVs for the rest of her life.
That is awesome. Okay, so real quick, technical question here. I'm trying to figure this out.
Hmm.
Are we both showing up on the screen together when we talk, or like how do you guys do it when it's the three of us? This
Okay.
is they're getting all this on the podcast, by the way. So there's gonna
Yes,
be
I
talking
understand. If
over.
you go to the where it says view,
Yeah,
click
yeah,
speaker,
yeah.
that's all it is.
Okay, that's what then I was in the right place then.
But
Okay.
I don't like that. I like gallery. I
Like where
like
you're both
gallery
on the
for
screen
what,
together.
yeah, for what I see.
Thank you, because that's what I like too. But
But you can't use that. You have to use speaker.
I have to use speaker for it to go back and forth. But
Correct.
exactly. But so yeah. So anyway, welcome to Talking the Talk, Nickster, man. This is cool, man. I feel like we've now officially been on each other's podcast.
Yeah, you've been on both of mine.
The thruple is complete. You know,
Ew.
it's all right. It's a very dry thruple. But anyway, I'm not going to go too much into this. But I was talking to Nick today, and one of the things we were talking about was this extremely fucked up Black Sabbath ordeal that is going on with this crazy fucking reunion. Nick and I are on the same page with this whole thing about
When
it basically
when the
being a
whole
shit
thing
show.
was announced, what I said was, "This sounds like it's going to be the heavy metal version of a concert for Freddie Mercury."
Exactly. Yeah, like a tribute, like just like a bunch of bands playing songs with like two members present
Right, like where
or three. Yeah.
everybody plays like a half-hour set, except for Spinal Tap, who played one song. They literally played one song, their new single, "The Majesty of
Majesty of
Rock,"
Rock, the
and
pageantry of roll.
they had a Spinal Tap moment where it took them 20 minutes to get Nigel's guitar working,
That's the best.
which I mean, which wasn't even a bit.
That was the best.
Perfection,
It was like
perfection.
literally
Yes,
a Spinal Tap moment,
perfection.
like full circle.
Yes. And then, so the bands would play a half hour. Then they had all the singers come out and jam with Queen. And apparently Tony Iommi played rhythm guitar for most of the night.
He did, which was incredible because that
Right.
was like, of
So
course, being that age, I guess that
right.
what year was that? That would have been
1992.
92. So I just
One. One?
yeah, because
Two.
I was a senior in high school, 92, 92. It had to have been because Metallica was still doing Black Album shit. So yeah, I think you know what
Yeah,
we're
April
on the
20th,
internet. We can look at it.
April 20th, 1992.
Right. Okay. So then, like my 17-year-old brain was going like, why is Tony Iommi still on stage? Like, why is he even on stage playing with all these people? And then, of course, as you get older, you learn more of the family tree, the incestuous relationship of bands and bands
And
and
there's this thing
bands.
called overdubbing.
App. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Iommi not plugged in.
Well, no, it's Tony Iommi playing Brian May's second rhythm part to everything.
But you called it. I was shortly behind you, but actually you gave him a little more credit than I did with this whole Sabbath thing. Because my thing was that I didn't think it was actually going to happen at all. But once they started to announce that it was going to be this whole fucking thing, this array of bands, then I was like, okay, the chances of a full Sabbath set even coming close to occur is getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer.
Well,
And then
Bill Ward can't play. If you disagree with me, you're an idiot. Because in 1997, when Mike Borden was on the drums for Black Sabbath, that's because Bill Ward had a heart attack after the second rehearsal.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Black
remember
Sabbath
that.
is not fast.
No.
The fastest song they have is 120 beats per minute.
Hmm.
That's it. So, I mean, all you have to do is just keep time.
Yeah, but man, Bill Ward has always been a swing drummer. He's
I
always
love
been a
Bill
jazz
Ward.
drummer.
Love
And
him.
you and I both, which is so funny because you and I both had two completely different experiences seeing the Sabbath reunion, quote unquote, on the
Yeah.
Ozfest tour. Because
Hmm.
when I saw that tour, like he was a powerhouse for me, but he wasn't for you. But then to
No,
me, that speaks to the kind of aging
they weren't
aspect
that
of these
old
artists,
then. At that point in time, they would have been in their mid 50s.
Right. But they were like their bodies were in their mid 50s in 79. You know
Well,
what
yeah,
I
true.
mean?
But I mean, think
Like,
about that. Think about how old we thought they were in 1997 through 1999 when they did that run.
oh,
It's like,
what was it? Hold on a second. I gotta look this up because let me see. What was it? It was 'cause I was thinking about it. It was when Alice Cooper did the Nightmare Returns tour. That was what, 87?
no, I'm not a big Alice Cooper fan.
I think it was like 87.
I'm the
And I was
casualist Alice Cooper fan in the world. Give me the hits, and when it's once in a blue moon, I'll actually spin one of the 20 records of his I've bought over the years
really,
of the antique malls.
let me see. So I did, how old was Alice Cooper in 1987? He was about 39 years old. Good fucking God, dude. Like
Well,
when
think about Kiss and
yeah,
Kiss on the Revenge tour. Paul Stanley's uh, see Ace was 45
I know.
on the reunion tour
On
in
the reunion tour.
1996.
Right.
So
And so on the
Paul
Revenge tour,
Stanley,
Paul Stanley was like 37.
yeah, on Revenge, and they just
Yeah.
looked so old.
Because you
We
know,
didn't, back then things were different. And I mean, think about like, Jeff Goldblum, right? Jeff Goldblum
right,
has been an actor my entire life. I have been watching him since like 1984 with The Fly.
right.
This would be like me watching somebody from the 40s when I was at that age.
Oh, it's. I mean, so think like what was it? I was doing the math on this one day. Was that I was driving home from work. This was like back, God, about 10, 15 years ago. No, maybe about 10 years ago. And this is 10 years ago. They were playing the Black Crowes, She Talks to Angels on classic rock radio. And I was like, there's no fucking way they're playing She Talks to Angels on classic rock radio. And then all of a sudden
Think about this.
I did the
Kurt,
math. Is that Led Zeppelin 4? What year did Led Zeppelin 4 come out?
1971.
Thank you. Okay. I first heard Led Zeppelin 4 in 1984. That was still
Kurt Cobain. We are
younger than what
Kurt Cobain died at age 27 in 1994.
Yeah.
Okay. We are the same time frame from when I came of age in 1985. 1985 is like when I started listening to my own music and branching it. So that's just kind of the spot I do. So right now, Kurt Cobain is as far behind to my child as the day the music died was for me.
Which is fucking crazy, because that's the thing, is that we didn't have a concept of age, because to us, anyone who wasn't in school was old. Yeah.
So
right?
We told this story to explain that they really are aged now.
Yeah.
This isn't like, back in the day when we thought 35 was that you were dying. I mean, I look at myself now, and I'm a solid 6 on my best day when I get my brows done, my haircut, my and a manicure. But
wow, that's very gracious of yourself, by the way.
What is?
To give yourself a 6.
Oh, no, that's after I get the haircut, the brow wax, and a manicure, like a literal manicure. I'm not kidding. None of that's a joke.
I'll give you a 5.
But you know what? You say that, you laugh all you want. But I had to go to a lawyer night, and I charmed the table.
Oh, well, in that kind of setting, you have to, man. I mean, trophy husbands have to trophy.
I was even wearing my cufflinks that night.
Wow.
Yeah, I can get real fancy. So
clean up pretty good. Yeah.
I'm still like way past where my dad was at this age. My dad at this age was a broken down wreck.
Okay, same thing. Is that I was, again, like, I'm a big fan of doing this, like just doing this math. My dad was born in 47. He passed away about 12 years ago. And when I was thinking about where my dad was at 51 years old, which is where I'm at right now, this is not where he was at.
Same.
He was like, matter of fact, like, I looked at, again, kind of like talking about like with Sabbath, with all the rock stars and everything, like, I just assumed that everybody was my dad's age, which when I was a kid, I assumed my dad was 40, like from birth, like right. He was just like, my dad was born a 40-year-old and then was 40 until he just was like all of a sudden like 70.
Right.
And so I had no concept of this idea of like, oh my God, when Bill Ward was, I don't know, when he was 25, when I was working at fucking Wolf Cameron Video developing nudes for suburban house husbands and wives, he was out there fucking.
You buried the lead, sir.
He was slamming it with Sabbath. But you know what I mean? Like, to me, that was like one of those things where I'm like, no concept of age. But then you look at these guys now, though, and you think that, like, I used to feel like maybe even what 15 years ago, I used to look at Ozzy and this. I go,
so Bill Ward,
fucking good.
Bill Ward is 2 months older than my late mother. Okay. Born in 1948, May 5th, 1948. My mother was born July 11th, 1948.
Okay. Yeah.
So he is presently 75 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
76. So he's about to hit 77. 28 years ago is 1997, when he was too out of shape to tour.
Right.
He was in his 40s then.
Yeah.
So he was younger than I am now at that time. And my God, they seem so ancient. So now we are talking about these. So he was a broken down wreck 30 years ago. He didn't, after Born Again, he never toured again. And he stopped playing the drums. The next time he picked up the drumsticks was with Black Sabbath in 1998 to record the reunion.
Well,
essentially.
no, didn't he do the Ward one? He
He
did the
didn't play the
Ward one out,
drums.
but he didn't play the drums on that one. You're right. You're right. Now that I think about it, he didn't.
He stopped playing the drums.
He wrote, but
Pete, right.
now
He
I
did
do
some
know
solo
that.
records.
Yeah, and I do know that probably about what was it? Maybe about 10 years ago or so, 10, 12 years ago, is that I started like you started to hear him like talking about like he had kind of gone back into jazz drumming a little bit. Like he had a small, modest kit set up in a home studio. He would sit there and he'd kind of dwiddle and everything. And there's no doubt in my mind that the guy could probably still pick up sticks and do some really cool fucking jazz drumming or whatever, But I mean, like you're talking about getting up on stage and playing behind the wall asleep, for like fucking
I
an
have
hour and a half.
no I
I
I
yeah,
have no doubt he still has the musical knowledge to play the drums and could beat it out.
he doesn't have the
I don't
physical ability.
correct. He doesn't, but he no longer has he's got, it's like Freddy Krueger said, you got the body, I got the brains.
Hmm.
So that's from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Also, The Fresh Prince used that on his album, which I have on vinyl.
Did he?
Yes, he did. On the track Nightmare on My Street. Will
Oh, the
Smith, man.
Nightmare on My Street. I
Oh my God.
forgot
And
about that.
I will admit that song gave me nightmares.
The,
I know.
you're a
I know.
pussy, Nick.
I
That was
was.
just
Yes, I was.
I would have made fun of you, but it's okay. Actually, it would have
I
been
didn't
cool.
tell I didn't tell anyone.
Oh yeah, well that's cool because we actually hung out with this guy named Hoagie. That's what we used to call him. His name was Hoagie. Anyway, he got nightmares after seeing the video for "Scared" by Dangerous Toys.
Well, there you go. So
Yeah.
so Bill Ward has been, he didn't take part in the reunion, not because I think that the whole feud thing wasn't real. He just knew he couldn't do it. So he had to come
No,
up.
that was absolutely real, dude. Sharon, hello. We
I
couldn't
believe
count
that
on
Bill Ward
Sharon to
had to
fuck somebody up. You
Bill
know,
Ward had to say something to save face. Sorry, I will not.
I,
I will die
I,
on this hill. So no, we all knew he couldn't do it anyway, so it didn't matter.
mhm.
So there was no need to even tender a contract. So
And
now
yeah,
let's talk
yeah.
about Tony Iommi a little bit. This man has to drink this ridiculous health juice 3 times a day for the rest of his life.
Yeah, to basically keep his blood flowing
Right.
because the guy has just now started to generate blood back into his body
He's
instead of
basically getting
cocaine.
he's basically getting a Mr. Burns health treatment every day from his cancer and from his cocaine and
He's a walking dialysis, dude.
right.
That's what he is.
Then you have Ozzy Osbourne, who's had Parkinson's since 2003. My ex-wife called that years ago because she knew. I mean, she knew what. I think her grandfather had Parkinson's,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Oh, it looks like Ozzy's got Parkinson's to me." It was 2003. He was diagnosed, and he came public with it in 2020.
See,
So
I thought he had a stroke. That was kind of my thought first was that
no,
maybe he
my
had like
ex.
a minor stroke or something, but then you said yes.
My ex
Yeah.
mother-in-law had a stroke, and I know exactly what that is, and that's it's
Okay.
not this.
Okay. Yeah.
You don't stutter, you get lost.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
It
So
was just so sad because, we could have said goodbye to these cats a long fucking time ago and we should have. You know what I mean? Like, again,
oh, it's like the Kiss tour, man. You know what? And what I said in
yeah,
text,
but
and
at
I
least those guys still could play with the exception of Paul Stanley's voice was missing most of the shows.
right,
Like
all the shows.
all the shows.
His voice went out in 2007. Since 2007, Paul Stanley has not been able to carry a tune. And then on the farewell tour, they finally brought in tracks, and the tracks were
Mhm.
still terrible because they were from 2008. Anyway,
At least they were
you know,
using tracks from like a not perfect era. Is
yeah.
what I was like, hey,
Well, they couldn't use the perfect. If they used the perfect ones, it'd be really
because
obvious.
they'd be like, what did you do? Like
Yeah, it's
sleep for
like,
7 days and then get your voice back? Like
are you in Michael Jackson's hyperbaric chamber? I mean, where did you get that?
cryogenically frozen for 10 years?
Did they use stem cells to clone new vocal cords? What did they do? No, they couldn't do
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
so I didn't go to the Kiss farewell tour. Came to St. Louis twice, even though they said, once we come, we're done. There was that second one, and you know what I said in text, and I got to get this out in public. 30% of the time, Kiss is the greatest band in the world, which makes up for the other 70% when they're just stupid and terrible. The farewell tour was
We
that.
both agreed with this the last time we talked. You remember that? Yeah.
Yes,
Is that,
and so many of these bands milk it for so long and we just forget that they're terrible. Like Bob Dylan. I saw Bob Dylan last year, supposedly. I don't know that I actually did. There
Mhm.
was a person on stage behind a piano. Does Bob Dylan play piano?
Yeah,
I don't know.
dude, I love to
Okay.
tell folks that one of the best shows I ever saw was a Bob Dylan show. One of the
Okay.
worst shows I ever saw was a Bob Dylan show
The
within a
camera,
year of each other.
I was 50 rows back in the
Hmm.
seats in the shed. The stage was dark, except
Hmm.
for lights going up on the surrounding members of the band. There was a person who did not move behind this piano.
That
No
was Bob
movement,
Dylan.
no discussion with the crowd.
Hmm.
His face was completely dark, and the camera never honed in on him. So my view of the cameras on the screen was the exact same view I had with my eyeballs looking at the stage.
Right.
So the cameras did no help for me. I think that was not a human being there. We did not see him get
Hmm.
onto the stage. We did not see him come off the stage. I think it was a Weekend at Bernie's situation. Anyway,
Also known as McMars. You
yes.
know, I mean,
So, let's pick him up and put him on the dolly and just wheel
just
him out there.
wheel him out and just make sure he's got the fucking straps on so he doesn't fall off the dolly and everything.
Right. So, yes, we should have said goodbye to these guys a long time ago. Ozzy's vocals have been declining for years. I mean,
Since '94.
he was never
I mean,
Liberace to begin with. And,
nah.
so the only person that's really still standing is Geezer Butler. And I saw a picture of him recently, and I never would have guessed that was him.
I saw that. Like he's got the kind of weird beard looking thing and everything. Like, and I don't know. Like I'm starting to like not recognize Geezer. And to me, he was like, but also he's like vegan
Yeah, but in
and shit, and he
fairness,
exercises and
he
and I
was
get
he was a vegan back in the 70s too.
yeah, and I mean, and I guess I guess cocaine is vegan friendly. I mean,
It's
so
plant.
it's a
It's plant
it's
based. It's a
plant
leaf.
based. So yeah.
He said he didn't. I mean, if you've ever read his book, one, he's the nicest guy in rock and roll.
I loved his fucking book, dude,
To hear
except
him
for
tell it,
the kind of like
to
boot
hear him tell
kissing
it,
towards the end, but
he's the
yeah.
nicest guy in the world,
Hmm.
and he never did any drugs. He didn't. But then he would talk like it was like Ace Frehley's book, man. This is not going to be a book about how I oinked this many chicks and snorted this many drugs. Now I'm going to regale you with 50 stories of me oinking chicks and snorting drugs. That was, that's kind of how Geezer came off. It's not about me snorting drugs, but I snorted all the drugs,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
didn't.
at least his book had a theme and a flow to it. Did you read? Everyone loves Tony Iommi's book, the Iron Man autobiography. That thing read
I
like
finally read that thing. I
it,
wish it was a little longer. It's the only time I've ever said that about a rock bio.
but there was nothing to it that had a flow to it. It was like it
It
was
was like
almost like
Bobby. It
you.
was like there's a local hockey player that died a few years ago, Bobby Plager. He was he's called Mr. He was called Mr. Blue because he was with the team from the moment they existed till
Mhm,
the day he died. He had an official position with them as he coached for them. He coached in the minors. He was everything. He was always a member of the team.
mhm.
His book is called Tales from the Blues Bench, and there's no narrative. It's just like you sitting down having a smoke with him because he smoked till the day he died.
Mhm.
And apparently all the players smoked in the 70s, which was one of my favorite stories because they'd get into practice every day and the coach would say, "You guys spent too much time at insert name of restaurant slash bar here and you're missing out." And they're like, "How do they?" And it went on every day, every practice they would do that. And it wasn't for like 6 months. They're like freaking out. So they're out drinking, like looking and trying to find somebody like squirrels, right?
Right.
And eventually the equipment manager pulls him aside and goes, "Bobby, you idiot. When you go to the ice and the coaches come out of their rooms, they look to see what matchbooks you brought with you." And so immediately they all went out and bought Zippos.
Uh,
But that's the kind of stories he told. It's just they were just these random stories, and that's kind of like how Tony's book was,
I just
except it
thought
was
Tony's
except it was chronological.
somewhat because I
Yeah,
even feel like sometimes he would like I don't know. It was I'm finding more and more that I feel like you know uh, the stories of these artists are like going to get more and more important to us as we are getting older because we're getting older. We're we're interested in history, we're interested in all these things, even when we were a kids, because this is what made us who we are now. Like, when my other peers were going to parties and getting fucked and whatever, me and my buddies were like priding ourselves on knowing that David Donato was a vocalist in Black Sabbath in a photograph only, and shit like that, so like as we're getting older, I want to read more of
Right.
that. I want to
And
hear a little more about David Donato. Like anyone else could give a fuck, but I want to know
one
it.
thing we didn't really we touched on a little bit. Let me just roll it back a little bit. Geezer is the only one that we are not aware of any significant health problems.
Correct. Yeah.
However, it's been 8 or 9 years since the end, was it? Like almost 10 years since the end?
Are you fucking serious
When was it? Was it
already?
2015?
Listen to us, but this is what you're getting here, folks. We don't give a fuck. Actually, let's see. Let me see. So when was that? Black Sabbath, The
It
End
was, yeah, it's been
tour.
10 years because
It's
it was released
2016,
in
2017.
2016.
The 2016, 2017 tour.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, yeah, the
But
final
still,
album came out in 2017.
yeah.
So when was it recorded? It was recorded February 4th, 2017. So it's been
Yes.
8 years.
8 years.
And so they
So
were still in their 60s. So I mean, we just don't know what Geezer's health is. So the more I thought about this, it just occurred to me there's no way there's going to be a show.
no.
And Ozzy's going to do solo work too.
So but this is where it goes completely against everything. Again, I feel like you and I click on this a lot, and we have over the time we've been friends, and we've talked a lot about stuff like this, is that, I'm the biggest non-fan of the bands I'm the biggest fan of. That makes no sense in the world, but what I mean by that
Yeah,
is
I don't
that I
get it.
have no problem being critical and calling out the bands that I think are some of the best bands and my
Yeah,
favorite bands, of just being like, you know
same.
what, dude, you are going to, like Iron Maiden,
I'm not gonna. Look, I'll
my
tell you when you
favorite
do.
band.
I'll tell you when you do good, but when you shit the bed, I'm not gonna kiss your ass and call it ice cream.
Right.
And that's why I hate the word iconic, because the hardcore Kiss fans, they think the word iconic means good.
No,
So
iconic means that you are
iconic
a
means that
statue. You're a has been.
what you have done has become so amazing and so ingrained with that concept that it has leapt out of your fandom and entered the the cultural zeitgeist. Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon is an iconic album cover. It's their only one.
Yeah.
That is their only iconic album cover. But I saw conversations like, which one is Kiss's most iconic album cover? What is Kiss's most iconic stage light show?
Can tell
It's
you
like
which one I think is my favorites, which ones I think was the best, but
they
there's
have no
nothing
they have
iconic.
Kiss in the 70s was run like other bands in the 60s and 70s. It was
Hmm.
by the label. The label ran it cheap.
Yeah.
They didn't spend money on these things, and that's why they don't have an iconic album cover. Wish they did, they don't. My favorite, Creatures of the Night. What is it? It's actually a children's book
Hmm.
there's a children's book called Creatures of the Night, and they
Yeah.
just stuck their faces where the fox was.
Yeah. See, believe it or not, my favorite Kiss album cover is The Elder. I don't know why. To me, that album cover just it had a mystique to it that like
All right.
it kind of made you just look at it,
I'm
I
of the
mean,
point
I don't
where
know.
that Kiss should have been doing the music from the Elder the entire time. If you're gonna have like this mythology and lore about these people wearing makeup, you should be doing songs in character. And there were no in character songs, period, by these guys.
No, never. Because to be honest, half the time, if you didn't know what they looked like, if you heard them, you had no, you wouldn't have had a clue that that's what they looked like. They weren't doing anything that was significant to, or that was relatable to like being mysterious or being
Right.
like
Well, and they
character
didn't,
character
Gene
based or
has this
whatever.
story about, writing scary songs. No, you didn't.
No, Paul Stanley wrote "God of Thunder" for you,
Yeah, the only scary song you have is God of Thunder, which was written by Paul Stanley.
the
So
least scary member of Kiss.
right. So the very scary songs that Gene wrote were things like Two Timer. and All the Way and Mainline and Charisma, terrifying.
Uh,
Although Gene Simmons' charisma is a scary thing.
although
Anyway,
Christine
so
16 is actually pretty.
let's not. No, stop. Moving on. Back to Black Sabbath.
But yeah, so Black
So,
Sabbath, real quick before I forget this moment, because what we were talking about, because if I don't get it out, my ADHD will die. Was that we were
mhm.
talking about the decline of like just these artists, these singers' voices. When are they just gonna stop? When is the stopping point? And did you see the No More Tours tour in '92?
No, I 92 was my first tour, and I saw Iron Maiden. That was like when I started going to shows.
Okay, so I saw the No More Tours tour. I saw he did the Theater of Madness tour, which was the first run, which was with Infectious Grooves. Then I saw them with the
Ooh.
No More Tours tour, which was it was Ozzy, Faster Pussycat, and Ugly Kid Joe. And both shows, both runs, incredible. Set list was different. I mean, for the most part, it was a different opener, for both shows. So at least both legs you had different. He sounded incredible. In my mind, when I'm thinking about that show, I'm like, dude, good fucking bye. You went out on top. I love it. Comes back in '94 for like with what the Osmosis thing. I go see that show and and I
Five
am
95.
'95 and I'm in the show going, I wish I wouldn't have seen this because
I
everything
first
was
I
great
first saw
except
Ozzy in
Ozzy.
nine. I first saw Ozzy in '97, and going into seeing that, I knew that Ozzy Osbourne did not put on good shows anymore, and it wasn't a good show. Joe Holmes was great, and then I saw them again the next year because I saw the first 3 years of Ozfest where it was Ozzy and Sabbath, just Ozzy, and then just Sabbath as
That's
the headliners.
I went to the Just Sabbath
I
Oz
went to all
Fest.
three, and Joe Holmes was great for both of them, but Ozzy was not a good frontman anymore. He was a much better frontman for Black Sabbath
Mhm.
because he didn't do much.
Well, because you weren't expected, he wasn't expected to carry
Right,
a show like that
exactly.
for
He
Sabbath,
wasn't.
because Sabbath
Sabbath
wasn't a
was
visual. Sabbath
no.
was music.
Sabbath
Ozzy
was a
was
mood.
visual.
Right, Sabbath was a mood. Ozzy was a visual. And if you
Yes.
look at like the stuff Ozzy Osbourne wore on stage after leaving Sabbath, they went from just dudes on the street, except for their giant crosses, to like if you look inside the cover of Tribute, he's wearing red chainmail pants.
In Disney World.
Where did he even get those?
Like, look, first time I ever saw Ozzy was on the Ultimate Sin tour with Metallica.
Hmm.
Of course, Metallica, duh. That was an unfortunate time to see Ozzy for the first time
Yeah, because
because
that's when Ozzy was on. Ozzy had taken he had given cocaine a co-writing credit on everything he was doing, and he
hmm
checked in with cocaine before he made a decision on anything.
yeah, and of course, Sharon always tried to steer him into, the way of staying, culturally relevant in whatever was going on, hard rock style and everything. So you're thinking like, what, this is 87, 86, 87.
Six.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking glam, right? I mean, he had the
Yep.
hair teased up. It was
He
all
was dressed
like,
like the Killer Bees from the World Wrestling Federation.
yeah. He had the microphone, that had fringe on the microphone, but anyway, it just hit of this point where I'm
It's
like, okay,
hysterical when you
dude,
look back at 1986 as a year, and all these old men, Kiss, Ozzy, Tony Iommi, even all these old dudes trying to keep up with the glam
mhm.
and have no idea what glam was.
No,
So,
and maybe this is why
and that's
to
why it looks so
us
ridiculous because
they look so
everybody,
old.
yes, because everybody doing it was doing it. I mean, you think about Rat, you think about like Faster Pussycat, you think about all these glam bands. They pulled
Young.
it off. They young, attractive, and they carried it well. And then you have, Ozzy Osbourne going, well, I guess I'll dye my hair bleach blonde, and I'll wear some fancy yellow and black stripes, and
Sharon, give me some French. It's
and I'll
like,
wear Michael Jackson gloves when I'm holding my microphone. And it's like you don't get it. It's not about the clothes, it's about the look, and the look was androgynous.
yeah, and there's
And
nothing androgynous about Ozzy at
ever.
all.
Even when
Nothing.
even when you see him wearing Sharon's dresses.
No, God,
No.
Jesus. No, I mean, because that was like more akin to Guar than
Yes,
it
it
was
was Guar. That I
anything,
mean,
you
so
know?
yeah, so that's why the old guys didn't when they tried it, it didn't work because they didn't know what it was. And Gene Simmons dressing up like B. Arthur from the Golden Girls. I
Oh
swear to
my
God,
God, dude, seriously, like
he
that
looked
that
like B.
Asylum era, like from Asylum to like
He looked like
Crazy
B.
Nights.
Arthur dressing in Michael Jackson's outfits.
And with the fucking day glow makeup that they had going
He was
on,
wearing blush,
and their
like actual
blush and
blush. It's like
and
again, you're look at Poison,
mhm.
look at you. One of them looks comfortable, and you look like idiots.
I don't think Kiss understood that not all makeup was not created equal. Like they were like, "Oh, we wore makeup for years. We can wear this makeup." I'm like, "No,
Nope,
that's not the
no,
same kind
no,
of makeup that you
it's
are
not
wearing here, and it's not doing you.
any favors.
You are not looking cool."
So
But
let's get back on track a little bit here, because
get backing on track
I
to
got
this
I do
Sabbath
have a
thing.
steak to cook in a little while.
Well,
Uh,
and so anyway, so the whole thing
what happens today? What
is that
drops
it's
today?
ridiculous. So what dropped today was that it actually, as far as it dropped as of now, it dropped about an hour ago now. It says
Yeah,
that
like an hour and a half ago.
what does it come on? It says on Ozzy Speaks on Sirius XM, he says, quote, I am not planning on doing a set with Black Sabbath, but I am doing little bits and pieces with them. I am doing what I can where I feel comfortable. Well, let me backtrack a little bit and read you what the headline was 2 days ago, which was Black Sabbath's final show sells out in 16 minutes. Everyone predictably pissed off. So within 2 days, it went from being a final Black Sabbath show to being Ozzy saying, I'm going to do bits and pieces and not a full set with Sabbath.
So does that mean he's doing a full set with his band?
See, and that's the thing is that so I was
Oh,
looking at the
you left out a bit. Whatever I feel comfortable with.
whatever I feel comfortable with. And
What does that mean?
what that means is that, what is he gonna like 5 minutes before he goes on stage go, I don't feel like looking at Bill Ward's stupid face, so I'm not gonna feel comfortable going out there and playing Paranoid, or like, I ate a bad piece of pizza and now I'm shitting myself, so like I'm not gonna go out and do. I mean, that's
So
the thing is that if
if
you're gonna get to
he's
this point, why do this? Because
if
now,
he's only doing bits and pieces, so let's assume paranoid, right? Mind. Time. Is that what we're getting?
it's like, well, I mean, it's what we get with Vince Neil, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, but Vince Neil has
But
tracks.
yeah, but so in my mind, I'm thinking it's like the Frankie Valley thing, as we've seen that with the Frankie Valley thing, like where he's like up on stage, like like barely animated corpse, like holding a microphone, nothing coming out of his actual physical body, and you've got this incredible Frankie Valley vocals, and so, but with Ozzy, it's like, so does the bits and pieces mean that he's going to be on stage with like seven singers from all of these other bands, and they're all going to take a turn singing a verse, and then he's
So,
going to
yeah,
sing the chorus or something like,
what I'm picturing is, James Hetfield comes out to sing "Symptom of the Universe," right? And you have Bill Ward and possibly Mike Borden or Brad Wilk both at drum kits. And
yeah,
then
yeah, I can, I don't know, as long as they don't have that grooveless fucking guy with it,
that's
Tony Kleftos guy,
Clufados.
yeah, that dude's got all the groove of a fucking brick, but
But
I
I think
digress on him.
I thought Mike Borden fit in really, really well. And, Faith No More is a groovy band, so it checks out, right? But I think what we're going to see is we're going to see Bill Ward up there trying to keep time. Okay. So that they can say Bill Ward was there playing the drums,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I
And
agree.
then and then we're gonna have Mike Borden or Brad Wilk or whomever playing the songs for real.
Yeah,
And
I can see
then
that. Yeah.
and
I'm just looking at the lineup right now as we're
right. And
talking. Yeah.
then you're gonna have James Hetfield come out and sing Symptom of the Universe. And then Ozzy will join in on a chorus line here and there.
They'll do Paranoid with like 80 people on stage
Right.
as the closer, and And see, this is the part that bums me is because again, you and I are these two guys that is like, you know what? If you're gonna be past your prime, I am not gonna go. I am not gonna go see you fall. I'm gonna call. I'm tapping out. I'm done. You know, I just saw Iron Maiden on this last run, and they were fucking fantastic. But it was before Nico announced he was
Right.
retiring. I could hear it. It was still an amazing show because Nico McBrain on his worst is going to be far better than many on their top of the game. But you could hear a decline. And my first thought was, this needs to be his last tour. He's going to be struggling from here on out.
Well, and he's
And
in
he
his
bowed
70s.
out. And he bowed out and he did it gracefully. And I was like, you know what? That is a band of integrity. That's a move of integrity. What they do carrying on, I don't know. But that is when I'm looking at this thing,
Do you think we get another Iron Maiden album?
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Steve is so dedicated. Steve Harris has his faults, but when he has something going, he's dedicated. He is a dedicated band member. He's
I
a
guess
dedicated person.
with him doing British Lion and Bruce doing solo work
Mhm.
again.
Adrian
That's
Smith's doing the Smith Kotzen. I mean, yeah,
oh,
with
Smith
Richie
Cotton is fucking terrible.
with Richie Kotzen. Oh, it's like the worst white boy blues shit ever. And
It's
I
it's
love Kotzen. I think Kotzen is fantastic, but I can't get.
if you
But
want an English white metal dude playing blues, listen to Bill Steer's shit.
oh, Bill Steer. You know his band fucking was it Gentleman Pistols? Gentleman's Pistols? It's fucking incredible. I mean, Southern blues rock is what it
He
was.
has a blues band, and I forget what it's called. There he is, Bill Steer.
It wasn't
Oh,
Gentleman's Pistols, was it? Because they were more of like a Southern rock kind of thing, British Southern rock. But
he's got a blues thing. It is. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't. Never mind. Yeah, Gentleman Pistols, I think is what it is.
Gentleman's Pistols, yeah, they were kind of like a sleaze
Southern
rock
rock
kind
is,
of
but
thing,
Southern rock
you know?
is white boy blues in America. So
Yeah, but the thing is that going into the again the Sabbath thing is that we knew this was not going to be a thing of any redeeming quality.
correct.
But like people are still going to see Motley Crue and saying Motley Crue is incredible and they're still great. Dude, I've never seen Motley Crue good live, and the first time I saw them was in '86.
I've
They've
had Motley Crue
never been
tickets.
good
I've
live.
been to 3 Motley Crue shows at least. It might be more. I don't know. Lawyer wife and I keep going, and lawyer wife always wants to leave after the first song. I am not kidding.
They're
It,
terrible. They've
it's actually
never been good.
the last time I saw them was on the farewell tour with Mick, and they
Hmm.
played I don't know Too Fast for Love or something or Shout at the Devil, and she looks at me and she goes, "Oh my God, this is terrible.
Oh,
Why are we here?"
yeah.
I'm like, one, Alice Cooper opened. She's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." Two, we got these tickets on Groupon for $20. Three, you wanted to go. And then
Yeah.
every time they've come back since then, she's like, "Should we go?" No,
But see,
no,
this is why.
because you hate it. Every time I have never finished a Motley Crue show.
Because you know what it is that people love the idea. They love nostalgia. They love the fact that when they were 16, 15 years old, that we weren't going, are they artistically as good as so and so or so and so? It's like, no, you're not paying attention to that thing. It's smoke and mirrors. You're getting the performance, the show, and you're not accounting for quality or anything like that. So of course, now again, same thing like with the Ozzy thing, the Sabbath thing, that what's going on now is that people are flooding to it. They're gonna go crazy. They're gonna say it's the greatest thing they ever saw in their lives
They
because
totally
it's
will.
what they wanted
Well,
to.
it's like when with Kiss fans, people are like, "Oh, Paul Stanley can't sing as well as he used to, blah blah blah." And then I'll show you a link of him singing "Heaven's on Fire" from 2011,
Mhm.
and you can see the pain in his eyes when he tries to sing that vocal intro, and it sounds like somebody's choking him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Does this sound good? Do you enjoy this?" It's like you
And then
when
my favorite reply to that is, well, you can't tell anything from watching a crappy YouTube video. And it's like,
you
oh,
know
you
what
can tell a lot from watching a YouTube video. I don't care what
you can
quality the
you know
recording
what you can
is.
tell? You can tell if it's in key. You can tell if it's music. And this was for a YouTube video that was professionally recorded in Zurich for Access TV.
Yeah.
So I'm not even using a cell phone video. And it's
No.
like nobody can answer that. Nobody can really objectively look at that when they go, "Well, I had fun." Okay, did you enjoy this? Because this is why I'm not going. This is why I don't like it.
Now, like that. Now, if you went to see Ozzy, like I said, the last time I saw Ozzy was that Sabbath Ozfest. You know what? And I
Same.
stand corrected. It wasn't the Sabbath. It was the second one where it was him and Sabbath.
That's the
Like,
first one.
was that the first one?
That
Okay,
was the
so
first touring one.
right. So what? Yeah. So that's what it was. It wasn't the one where it was primarily Sabbath. It was like him, like he did a set, and then Sabbath did like the little
Right. He
was
did
it
a
like
45 and
six
Sabbath did a
song,
45.
7 song set or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And like I even remember that going, this is great. This is the closest. I mean, I'll never get to see Sabbath like this again. Yeah,
Wait a minute. So
previously,
you didn't see the original Sabbath lineup then?
no, I did. Okay, so then which tour was that then? Because
That
that's the
was
one.
99.
Okay, then
There's
that's the one I did see.
97
Okay,
and 99.
99 was the one I saw because that's the one I saw Bill Ward on.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's the one. Okay, so was that the one when they did the reunion album?
Yeah.
From that, okay, then that's where I saw. Okay, so
They had done the reunion. They had released the reunion album that
that's what it
year.
was. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. They sounded great, but I was like, you know what? The previous lineup of Sabbath I got to see was in '92. Was the Dio era Sabbath,
Right.
and
I
it
saw
was
them in
absolutely
'07.
fucking incredible.
Much
This
better.
lineup of Sabbath, I remember going, "This is great, but I don't need to see this again." Like this is like,
Yeah, and Sabbath toured for another off and on for another 10 years
yeah. But
total,
see,
and I never went again.
and then so did Ozzy from '94. Like I said, the last time, yeah, I truly saw a full Ozzy solo show was that Osmosis tour, Retirement Sucks tour with Sepultura and Typo Negative opening. And all I remember is going like, this is not good. You know, the band was fucking incredible. You had Trujillo on bass, you had Borden on drums, you had Holmes on guitar, who I will die on this mountain that Holmes was my favorite Ozzy guitar player.
How? How can he be your favorite?
Well, I mean, since Rhodes, you know, I mean, to me, it was Rhodes,
What's your
Holmes,
favorite song he wrote?
who?
Holmes.
No, I'm talking about live. I'm talking
Oh,
about
never
as far
mind.
as
Oh,
seeing live. Yeah, no,
oh,
I'm
sorry.
not, because I never saw, what do you call it? I never saw Rhodes live, obviously. But, you know, Jakey Lee was great, you know, but like to me, Holmes, for some reason, I don't know if it was also because he was a
It's because
Strat
he played the
player and he
Randy stuff
played the
note for
Randy
note.
stuff note for, yeah, you know, and it was also the only time that I got to hear uh, Diary of a Madman.
Yeah, when I saw him, he played it.
You know, and so like so to me that was great. So he had at least that going for him. But then from '94 on, what happened? The key starts dropping. Then they drop it. Then they're dropping it more to the point where the last full Ozzy tour that I saw footage from, it was unrecognizable what song they were
Right, and
playing.
that's what Kiss has been doing. They went from E flat to D.
I mean, but at that point, I'm just like, okay, so now you're just feeding ego. Like you're saying, I can still do this. And you're like, no, you can't. But then the other, you know, if there's 25,000 people in an arena, 24,999 of them are going, you're fucking great. And I'm going, this is terrible. Don't do this again. So of course, who's gonna have the louder voice? And then so
Right.
coming into this Sabbath thing is that I'm just going, this is not going to be good. They build it as a Sabbath thing though, which again, total bait and switch, which is what again, if I was an aficionado of Sabbath and a completist that I said I need to see everything they do. If I had bought a ticket for this and I got this news an hour and a half ago,
I'd sell
I
it.
would be kicking a fucking hole in the wall.
Yes, and
And then
I
I would sell the
watched
ticket for 3 times what I bought it for.
I watched all the people talking about how they couldn't get tickets and how disappointed they are they couldn't get tickets. And now we find out that it's not even a Sabbath show.
No, and they're still gonna want to go. I mean, and it's so like I was just looking up the lineup as we were talking here, and so like this is the lineup we have. It says performances from Black Sabbath. Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Hailstorm, Alice in Chains, Lamb of God, Anthrax, Mastodon. And then this is where it gets the fine print shit starts to get hokey, is that additional performances from Billy Corgan, Dave Draymond, Duff McKagan, Fred Durst, Lizzie Hale, who is already in Hailstorm, which was listed, Jakey Lee, Jonathan Davis, KK Downing, Mike Borden, Papa Perpetuous from Ghost, Rudy Sarzo, Sammy Hagar, Slash.
Rudy Sarzo.
Yeah. He was Ozzy's bassist, so,
Was
but
he?
I guess he's
Not
taken
on not on any albums.
no, but he was his touring bassist for,
Well, I guess in fairness, Mike Inez was only a touring bassist too, really.
yeah, he was. He was.
'Cause
Well, yeah, he wasn't, he was like
he
credited
wrote
as inspiration on the,
he wrote No More Tears,
yeah. Yeah. And then
but they
credited as inspiration. That
and they
was
had
what he got
I think it was Bob Daisley came in and played the
played the
bass.
bass. Yeah. And was it Tom Morello, Wolfgang Van Halen? And then it was like, it's not even on this poster, but it was the original run said musical director Tom Morello. So I'm going, okay, so you had a musical direct. So this, nothing of this seems like it's like going to be a legitimized show of sorts. It's going to be like this fucking freak variety show. I mean, Fred Durst, Sleep Token, the guy from Go. I mean, like Billy. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like to me, this is just like, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. You know what I mean?
No, and I mean, well, I I feel like I have been proven right on this. And it's really unfortunate because they're selling it as something that it's not.
And
They sold
they changed that in 2 days time. It
no, they
went from
didn't.
being a Black Sabbath final show.
no, all that stuff that you read was there to begin with. That is not a change. That was all there.
Well, no, but not the Ozzy talking about how he's only going to do bits and pieces and
Well,
not do a set with
that just
Sabbath.
yeah, but that just came out today. But when I said it's going to be a Freddie Mercury tribute show for
Oh yeah,
Sabbath,
yeah,
well, what does that mean? That means somebody's singing the songs.
yeah. And I mean,
So it's
and the only difference between the two shows was that Freddie Mercury actually stayed dead.
right.
Ozzy is pretty much like what, breathing? Barely?
There is no
I don't want to
consensus as
see
to
I don't want
what
to
his
see
health
this.
is. I don't want to. When I told people when I saw them being so disappointed, I'm like, I saw somebody saying, this is several people actually. I'm so young and I never got to see Sabbath and this and that and blah blah blah, and I couldn't get tickets and I'm so disappointed. And I'm like, this is not what you want to see.
No, because what? What do you want to say when you're 40 years old that like, oh, I remember when I saw Black Sabbath and Ozzy was in a wheelchair and he could barely talk. The microphone was mounted to the chair and Bill Ward was like winded and like that's not what and I get it, like but I never got to see Pink Floyd. Never did. Not even in the Division Bell tour or anything like that.
They didn't
Never
come here for
saw
that.
never saw Gilmore solo. But God damn it, the last time he played, I was like, I at least need to make sure he's still good before I even consider this.
I have not seen anybody from Floyd, even though Waters and Mason have both been here
Yeah.
in the last 10 years. And I regretted, I, with Waters, it's like, oh, he's not doing the wall, so I don't know if I care that much.
I'll be honest.
And he's,
I saw the last tour when he did that. This is not a drill tour.
yeah, it didn't come here.
If I had to not see Waters ever again, I could at least say like that was something that I will never forget for the rest of my life as being a great show. It was Waters though, like he is not a great vocalist. He is not a great singer, but God damn it, it's like the closest thing to seeing Shakespeare with Shakespeare doing Shakespeare.
Right.
Do
And,
you know what I mean? Like,
I
and I'm not even saying that it was of bad quality at all,
it
but
was because he was lip syncing.
so,
What he,
people say that
what
though, and like,
what he does, here's what he does. He has a vocal track. He sings along to the vocal track. So he's singing with it, and what they do is basically it makes his voice louder and stronger.
It's yeah.
He can still sing as not well. He doesn't have the speed and the power
He doesn't
anymore.
have the projection,
Right.
like
So
that,
basically they should just use,
you know.
stronger mics. But
Exactly. But we are not going to get this
no.
with the Ozzy thing, with the Sabbath
No,
thing.
it's I
And
think we're gonna get where he mumbles along every fourth or fifth line, pops on a chorus, and I think a lot of the people I mean I don't know what to root for here, right? Um, Obviously, what I'm rooting for, what I really want it to be, is I want it to where they come out and they just kick ass and they really make me look like a fool. But
that's what I want, you
but
know.
I'm
But
not a
again,
stupid man.
but you know when they did that for me? The reunion, 99.
1997 for me.
I mean, 99 was when I saw that show and they fucking did Black Sabbath and then Behind the Wall of Sleep. And I'm watching Bill Ward fucking pound those drums with everything he had, knowing that he probably died after the show and they had to fucking shock him back to life. But still, what I saw that night was what I wanted to see. And I was like, I do not need to see anything more than this. You
And
know, I don't want to
I
see this. I don't want this to be my last. It's like,
and the thing is, the worst part about this is you and I are both going to watch this.
oh, absolutely. So we can have this conversation with Keith and go, hey, guess what, Keith? It was
I mean,
fucking terrible. Let's watch
everybody,
it.
and I mean, I feel bad for the select few people that are going to go and really see it for what it is.
I think what I feel, I do. I feel what I feel the worst for it also is that it's gonna be akin to going to a wake, is what it is. It's like, I mean,
I
again,
have only ever seen one artist right before the end, and that was Lemmy. Lemmy died in December, and I saw him that September.
and he was still great.
No, he was not.
No, he was no. You're right. No, I didn't see him that year. I did not see him. I'm backtracking. I'm thinking like when I saw him later in the years, he was great. I didn't see him
I
that
saw
close to the
him
end.
3 months before he died.
No, I hadn't seen him for like another 2 or 3 years before.
And there was a lot, and everybody knew about all the cancellations that had happened and this and that, and everybody was worried, and the entire crowd held their breath for the first three songs because three songs is for when he would cancel the shows, he would get to three and he'd be like, "Sorry, I can't go."
Hmm.
So it was when he started up number four, but you could tell that the fire was out.
Hmm.
He didn't have it anymore, and I think that's going to be far better than what we're going to get with this Black Sabbath. And
The only proper, the Ramones, the farewell tour. It's the only band I can honestly think of any of the bands that I loved that they did a tour and they said, "We're the fuck out of here," and they legit never came back. Like
yeah,
when they were
I
done, they were done.
the last one I could say was Slayer, and they've come back.
Exactly. And the thing was that when I think of the last time I saw the Ramones, their last show in Atlanta, Masquerade Music Park, I walked out of that show. I had tears in my eyes because I knew I was not gonna see them again, but I also knew I was like, that's how I want to see that.
And the thing is
I always hold that to the standard. I'm going to see a band for the last time, I want them to be as good as the Ramones. And I don't mean technically good. I don't mean artistically as good, but I want to see you integrity. I want to see you energy. I want to see you sounding on top of your fucking game
the thing
as
about
good, if not better, than you have in decades.
and the thing about the farewell shows is they charge shit tons for them, and then half the time they come back next year.
My Ramones ticket was $22.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I've been to two farewell shows that I can think of off the top of my head. Both have come back, Slayer and Motley Crue,
Hmm.
and it's just you know what I I I don't believe them ever. I believe Kiss's farewell was farewell because they can't do it anymore, and
Well, they're even
I
saying stuff in the press already, though. Like Paul Stanley's like, "Oh, I could see us getting back together to do a show or something."
oh, I didn't see that. I don't care.
But
I'm
you know
not gonna
why?
go.
You know why? Because you can't remember if he said that 2 days ago, if he said that in '97, if he said
Right.
that in 2005, because you know,
I don't
at
listen to
some
what anybody in Kiss says in an interview because they say the same things.
yeah.
They've said the same 8 things for the past 25 years, so I don't care. And I this Black Sabbath set, I hate the fact that I'm going to watch it but I'm certainly happy I did not pay to see the crows pick the bones, see the vultures pick the bones, because that's what
So
this is
so
going to
when
be.
is this actual performance?
July,
Let me see.
July
It's in
5th, I
July. Okay.
believe.
So here's the deal. If Keith doesn't want to do it, or if he does, we'll figure out which platform we will do this on. But if anything, I want to revisit this because not even just because I want to have an I told you so moment, but because I feel like this is where, like, the rubber hits the pavement. Like somebody's gonna have to say, this was not good. This was not great. This was not how it should have been, because at some point I feel like there's so many facets to it. There's the artists that say, I owe it to my fans to do this. But then it's like, no, you owe it to your fans to give them the best quality, the best performance, the best level of professionalism you can give us. Make us feel like we walked out of there and saw something fantastic that we're going to remember for the rest of our lives. I, at that, and then at that point, then you're feeding ego. I can still do
What
this.
this should have been is they should have done it as a Freddie from Mercury tribute. And then you know what? If they can bring out the original four to play Black Sabbath.
And they should have just called it an Ozzy Osbourne tribute.
They should have
Like,
just called it a farewell to Ozzy and Sabbath.
exactly. I mean, just call it what it is, and that's
And
yeah.
the idea of him trying to sing, the dude couldn't sing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He
What
couldn't
was
sing.
what was the because I don't know my sports ball shit. What was that sporting event that he sang at? Do you remember where they had a fucking he was on like the giant like doll stand with the rod up his back. You remember that? It was some sport where what was it? It was the let me see. Ozzy sings.
I don't know. Oh, he did Patient Number 9 and Crazy Train
That's
at
what
the
it was.
Rams season opener.
That's what it was.
He
That's what it was.
sang at the Commonwealth Games
The
and that
Commonwealth
was,
Games. That was the
and
one I
both
was
of these
thinking
were
about.
2 years ago.
Yeah. And that was the Commonwealth Games was the one I was thinking the most about because he was on the giant doll stand with the fucking rod up his back so he could stand up straight. Nick, I don't want to see this. And
I
I
don't either.
and we're gonna see it. And
We're gonna have to.
but why do the people want to see this? This is what I don't understand,
I'm
Look,
looking at. Oh, I see what you're talking about the doll stand. I'm watching the video of this now.
do you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the cherry picker back like Kiss uses,
Yeah, yeah.
so he doesn't fall behind it. Oh my God,
The
that's
giant
terrible.
doll stand is
How does it sound? Let me see. Let me hear how it sounds. Give me a second. Oh, it's a complete lip sync.
oh, it's the vocals were completely piped in. Was that the
The
one
whole
where he
no, the whole thing was complete piped in.
what was that the one was that the guitar player from Post Malone or
I
something
think
that was with
something
him?
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had done that whole album. Anyway, it's all astronaut. It's all just ridiculous. And I just think that in a nutshell, I had to talk about this today with you because we
I
were
am.
gabbing
I
about it.
am. This whole thing just makes me sad.
It does. It makes me sad. And
They
what makes
could
me even sadder is that the people that are going to go see it are going to come away from it and go, it was amazing. It
they
was
could have done
incredible.
this the right way, where it would be wonderful and beautiful and perfect, and they chose not to do that. They chose to sell it as something it's not.
Okay, this is great. To close out, wrap this up here. How would that have been? Tell me your vision
What they
of
should have
what
done
the
is just
beautiful thing would have been.
it should have just been a tribute to Ozzy and Sabbath, or farewell to Ozzy and
Hmm.
Sabbath, an all-star heavy metal tribute. Started at 8 in the morning and have 20 bands play and then have them come out and sing with Tony and Geezer, providing they can do it, and a drummer, and then have Bill and Ozzy come out and, sing whatever they can to end the night and to just say thank you. You know, that's what it should have been, and that would have been a wonderful and amazing thing, and they could have done a Woodstock style soundtrack of it and made a squillion dollars.
See,
But
you and I are so close on that because for me, it would have been like a Kennedy Center's honor kind of thing.
same
Is
diff.
that it would have been like, yeah, like Ozzy and the guys taking in the decades upon decades of influence and inspiration that they handed down from generation to generation, from band to band to band, and sitting and watching their inspiration and their influence being played to them, not
Correct.
hearing it on the fly, not hearing it in the press, not being like, oh, I heard this band covers that, like actually being forced to like when Zeppelin watched Heart do Stairway to Heaven, that was what I wanted to see. Something like that was to be faced with your own mortality and to go, this is the legacy that I'm leaving behind. And then, like you said, end of the night, all-star jam of Paranoid, Ozzy's on stage.
With a tambourine.
They've got
If nothing
five
else, just a tambourine.
they've got five drummers, Bill Ward in the center. His drums not mic'd. Tony hooked up to his juice IV, and then, Geezer, eating celery and being the only one that can really mobily play still.
We assume.
But still, like to me, that would have been admirable. I wouldn't have gone because I
No.
think the selection of bands is terrible. But again, you're not gonna fill a stadium with having bands like Graveyard and bands like
And
that who
Carcass.
actually, yeah, right, who actually do have legitimate Sabbath influence and who do it well. But I at least would have appreciated it more. And we're not going to get that. We're going to get something that's completely forced, that's not going to be of any redeeming quality. And we're going to have to hear it until we die that it was amazing.
Yep.
So we're going to do this after this, and
We'll
well,
do it again.
we'll do
Do
this
it again.
before then, of course, because we have to talk about other shit too. So, but thanks for doing this, Nixter.
Not a problem. I wanted to test out my new spot where the microphone is, and I think it works really, really well.
It sounds great. It sounds great. So this was great. Well, and everybody watching this, we forgot you were there. So yeah, talking the talk with Don, Nik, podcast Cameron. I don't have a farewell because I never do because I'm usually interviewing
Well,
people who.
here's what I will say. Thank you for having me, and everybody listening to this and watching this. You need to take a moment to like and subscribe because, as small content creators in this world, we are fighting the algorithm, and the algorithm is not. The algorithm is a very harsh mistress. So, if you could tell one friend, tell one coworker, tell one neighbor to just listen, check out something, check out a podcast that's made by somebody who loves music, who loves what he does, who's not on a famous TV show, who's not in a movie with Ryan Reynolds. We would greatly appreciate that. And I will say, Don, thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been the talk the talk, or whatever the walk balls ass with Don DeLomont. Thank you.
And this has been talking the Cameron with Don Nick. So yeah, something like that. So, but anyway, thanks
That's
for
how you
tuning
end a
in.
show, by the way.
That's how you end a fucking show, by the way. So anyway, yes, like, subscribe, check out the Glacially Musical Pouredcast, check out Ghost Cult Magazine, check out southeastofheaven.com. And we're going to keep doing this because you know what? We have to have each other's backs as creators, as podcasters, and this is what we do. We have to create communities here. So
Bingo.
everybody enjoy it. We will be back again. I'll be announcing my next interview very soon. But until then, peace out. Love each other, love yourselves, and be good.
See you, peoples.